Hello, I'm going to do the Capricorn energy reading, and this may or may not resonate with you. If it does, take the parts that do resonate. If it does not, leave the parts that do not resonate, as those may be meant for someone else. All right. 5 of Swords, 10 of Swords. I feel like you're finally happy to let something go and to be moving on to a new direction. King of Swords, 6 of Cups, 6 of Swords. Knight of Wands. I feel like for something to change that you have to be the one to make the effort, and you have to be the one to walk away. I feel like you're trying to attain this freedom and letting go of something, but you're trying to figure out, how do I attain it? How do I reach that? I feel like you've kind of been stuck in something for a really long time. I feel like you've been in a situation for a really long time, and you're trying to remove yourself from it, and you're trying to move on from it, but you're trying to figure out how to go about it. But I feel like any action is good action instead of being stagnant and staying stuck. I feel like you're trying. This 3 of Cups is really sticking out for me. This happiness, this celebration, this joy, this feeling good. But I feel this is your blockage here. Like, this is what you're trying to attain, but that's not what you're getting to. Because you're trying to figure out how to walk away, how to let it go, how to be able to put your sword up in the air. And because just the way that he's like looking, I feel like you're like, I'm trying to attain this goal. I'm trying to let go of this, or I'm trying to do this, but I just can't figure out, how do I do it? How do I get there? I feel like it's something that you've been attached to, that maybe before you used to like it. It could be a relationship that you're in. It could be a job. It could just be life in general. And you're like, well, I used to like it, or I used to feel good, or I used to be happy about it, and it was giving me good memories. But I feel like it's almost like I'm being stuck, because we have the 6 of Swords, which is moving away from this. And I feel like you're ready to move on, and you're ready to let go, and you're ready for change, but you're just trying to figure out, how do I go about it, right? How do I do these things? But I would say definitely the good thing is that you're at least thinking about, you're at least realizing and saying, you're at least realizing and you're saying, I know that there's something that needs to be done. I know that there's something that needs to happen. I know that there's something that has to change. The 5 of Pentacles, I feel like the 5 of Pentacles can be a temporary hardship, but it's also like you're feeling out in the cold. And I feel like this is something that has been building and building and building within you, that you're feeling distant, and you're feeling this disconnect with this situation. And I feel like what you're wanting is something new and something fresh and something exciting. And I feel like, but you have to let go of this first. But I feel like that's what you're wanting. I feel like you keep going back and forth. I feel like you make a step forward and you move away from something, or you're like, it's almost like it's like it's like a band-aid, right? And like you're slowly like, and you're like, I know this is gonna hurt, but I don't want to do the whole thing at once. So you peel a little corner and you start to peel it off, and you're like, oh my gosh, that hurts. So then you put it back down. And then it's almost like you have to start from the beginning and go back to that corner to peel it off, because you've put it back down. And I feel like you keep going with this back and forth with this situation. And it's like you're like, okay, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready. And you'll get really excited about it. And then when it comes down to it, you're like, no, it's not quite right. You know, sometimes we have those relationships or those friendships, family members, partnerships. It could be with a job. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I would really like to have a new job, or I'd really, this relationship is really not working for me, and I'd really like to move on. And but it's just like the fact of, oh, I got to go find a new job. I got to go look for something else. But you're feeling this pull inside you that's saying that you want change, but there's part of you that's holding you back. And then it's like you start to make the moves, but then you're like, oh, I want to go back to the security of I'm just going to stay in this relationship, or I'm just going to stay at this job. I'm just going to stay at this situation because it just seems easier to do that. But yet there's this feeling inside of you that keeps wanting to push you, to move on, to move forward. Again, we have the Six of Swords is that nothing's going to change unless you make the change, right? And it's again, it's almost like this King of Swords is looking right at this Six of Swords and saying, how do I move on? How do I get going? That I can sit here all day and I can think of all of these ideas, right? That I can think of all of these ideas and I can think of all of these ways to move on. But if I don't actually take some action, I feel that this Three of Swords is holding you back. Lots of swords here. So a lot of mental, a lot of analysis, a lot of analytical, a lot of, I almost feel like making excuses. We have the Five of Swords yet again. So we have this repeating energy. That's why I feel like there's this constant back and forth with you. Look at that. How cool is that? We have the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands, and I feel like one more. I love it. That's why, because it's the Three of Cups. That it's not only thinking about things, but it's also about taking actions to make it happen, to attain this Three of Cups. I love how we have these repeated energies with the Five of Swords and the Six of Swords and the Three of Cups. Don't let this Three of Swords hold you back. I feel like there's this push and pull within yourself. And sometimes it's almost like we have to get to the point. It's like, how many times do I want to stay in this situation? How much longer do I want to stay in this situation? How many times do I have to deal with this stuff before I finally step up to the plate and I finally make a change? That I finally go after my happiness. Yes, if it's big life decisions, it's not something that you just do, that it's something that you think about. And definitely you have to think about those things, but it also becomes a point to where it becomes toxic, and it just becomes this inner battle within yourself. And I feel like that's what this situation has come to. Like, you know what it is that you need to do, and you know what has to happen, but it's like you're finding reasons to not make the change or the choices, or to move on from the energy. So in those situations, I always say knowledge is power. That if you're having some doubts or you're having some questions, right? So if you're saying, okay, I really don't like this job and I don't want to be in this job anymore. Okay, so if you don't want to do this, then what is it that you want to do? And start looking into, okay, if you want to do something else, then start looking for those jobs. Are those jobs out there? What is the salaries? What are the requirements? Do I need to go back to school? What are the chances of me being able to get in there? And if it looks like something that's promising, okay, let me get my resume ready, right? Let me start really looking into this. Then you get to the point where you put your resume out there. It doesn't mean you have to take the job, but then you're doing things to make changes. If you're in a relationship and you're like, okay, this relationship really is not happening for me and it's not what I want, why am I afraid to leave it? Does it have to do with finances? Okay, so if I leave this relationship, then I'm going to have to be responsible for more things. So do I need to get a second job, or do I need to find a job that's going to pay me more money? So then you start taking those steps to find that other job, get yourself, financially independent, and then you leave the situation, you leave the relationship. I mean, if I'm just giving examples, I'm not saying that's your situation. But knowledge is power, that if there's this thing that you're trying to move away from, what is it why do you keep holding on to it? Why do you keep fighting for something that's not making you happy? Why are you accepting something that is less than what you feel you deserve? Find that out, find that weak spot, and then work on that. Find on how you can change that, right? And then move forward and to find your happiness and celebrate yourself, not only for figuring out that this is something that you wanted, but also that you were strong enough to stand up and to make the changes that were needed, and that you don't just accept things. All right, let's get a Star Dragons for this reading. We have resources. I love that, because I feel like that's kind of knowledge is power. What are those resources that you have, that if there's, what are those resources that you can use to help you to gain the knowledge in order for you to take that step to make these changes, and to walk away, and to put your sword up in the air, and to find your solutions, and to walk away from this Three of Swords, and to have this Six of Swords energy. And I feel like one more. We have vision, contemplating the future. What does your future look like if you make these changes? What does it look like if you do not make these changes? So that's something that you have to think about. Obviously, when you're ready to make these changes, you'll get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm this is it. Like I need to make these changes, and you'll go all in, and you won't be going back and forth. All right, let's grab an animal oracle. We have Starfish, open to infinite possibilities. If you're staying in a situation that isn't making you happy, then you're missing out on opportunities and possibilities for you to be happy, to have that fulfillment, to have that Nine of Cups, that Ten of Cups, to have that emotional fulfillment. Like you have to realize that you're stopping yourself from reaching those goals when you're keeping yourself in something that doesn't make you happy. And yes, it's going to have ups and downs, just like life does. But for me personally, I would rather take a chance and leave something that's not making me happy, and take a chance and go off on my own and explore something that will make me happy, because that independence that you have within yourself is extremely powerful. And being able to trust and rely on yourself, and know that, hey, I'm looking out for myself. I'm not happy with this situation, so I'm looking out for myself, and I'm saying, you know what, I'm not happy, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to fix it. All right, thank you so much for watching. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I will see you next time.